ever stumble upon like a festival or something and you think, how have I never heard of this before?
Oh, yeah.
Get ready to dive deep into the hidden cultural gems of the Alps.
Yeah.
We're talking about those traditions that run way deeper than like any ski slope or souvenir shop.
It's so interesting how those mountain communities, they've held on to these customs that give us a glimpse into their history,
Totally.
their beliefs, even like their fears.
And we've got Mia Turner's article from JASIF as our guide.
Of course.
It's going to take us beyond the typical tourist trail
Right.
in the German, Swiss, and Italian Alps. Ready for this whirlwind tour?
Let's do it. I'm really interested in how these traditions can like transform something so normal into something really special,
Yeah.
you know?
Okay, first up, Switzerland's Lotschental Valley
Okay.
for Chigete.
Mm.
Have you heard of this?
I have not.
So picture this. Villagers in these crazy, intricate, and often kind of creepy masks.
Uh-huh.
Like we're talking carved wood, animal fur, the whole 9 yards.
Wow.
It's like they take over the village every February.
Oh, wow.
It's like a scene straight out of a storybook.
It's a very striking image.
It is.
And the fact that nobody really knows where it came from just makes it more interesting.
Sure.
Is it to like ward off evil spirits, or is it like a social commentary?
Right.
Or even a way to like make fun of their enemies? You know, because they're wearing masks.
Right.
The possibilities are just so interesting, just like the masks themselves.
What I think is fascinating is how Turner links this tradition to the landscape.
Yeah.
Like the Alps aren't just a backdrop here.
Right.
They like really shaped these customs. They created this sense of isolation that's really beautiful, but also kind of eerie, right?
Totally. These huge peaks and like hidden valleys, they've made this world where these old beliefs can stick around. It's like imagination and reality are all mixed up. You know what I mean?
I do.
It reminds us that like culture and the place it comes from are super connected.
So true. Speaking of connections, let's head over to Italy now.
Okay.
To a village where history truly comes to life.
Oh, wow.
Every 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
the people of Boiodi di Sempere put on this huge reenactment of their victory over, get this, Saracen invaders.
Wow.
Can you imagine the detail?
Yeah.
The passion that goes into, like, recreating a battle from centuries ago?
It must be amazing.
It's not just a show, though. It's like this powerful statement of, like, who they are.
Right.
A way for the community to relive these past victories, you know?
Right. And maybe find some like strength and inspiration in them.
Totally.
Think about the stories passed down, all the
Yeah.
costumes, the rituals. It's like touching history.
It makes you realize that these festivals, they're not just about having fun.
Yeah.
Like these, I don't know, living connections to the past.
I like that. Yeah.
They remind us of the struggles, the good times that have made these communities what they are.
For sure.
Now, you think battling invaders was a big deal?
Uh-huh.
How about battling winter itself?
Oh, wow. The classic battle against the elements. A lot of Alpine traditions are all about the seasons changing,
Yeah.
especially wanting winter to be over and for spring to start.
And they do it in such style.
Oh, yeah.
Take Chaland de Mars in Switzerland. Picture this. A whole bunch of kids.
Yeah.
I can only imagine the chaos.
Right.
Ringing bells, snapping whips, lighting bonfires,
Wow.
all to chase away the winter cold.
I love that.
Then there's Scheibenschlagen in Austria and Germany.
Okay.
They launch these flaming discs into the night sky.
What?
And each one has wishes and predictions for the year ahead.
Oh, wow.
Imagine standing under that sky,
Yeah.
feeling the heat from the fire, sharing all your hopes with everyone.
I love that, these traditions. It's like something primal, you know?
Totally. The visual alone is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But the fact that those discs represent, like, ancient beliefs about nature, luck,
Yeah.
even time, it adds a whole other layer, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, totally. It shows that this wasn't just about knowing what time of year it was. It was
Yeah.
about connecting with nature,
Yeah.
getting on its good side, and maybe finding comfort when things were uncertain,
Right.
you know?
For sure. It's amazing how these festivals, they blend, like, the practical stuff
Right?
with the more, I don't know, mystical side of things.
Yeah.
On the one hand, they're about survival, right?
Right.
Like getting through those tough winters,
Yeah.
making sure you have a good harvest.
Totally.
But it feels like they're also about something more, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And sometimes they take kind of a dark turn,
Yeah.
you know, going into this place of like old fears and superstitions,
Okay.
which brings us to the Perchtenlauf in Austria.
Okay, this one is definitely giving me the chills just hearing about it.
Right.
So picture these figures, the Persian. They're like half human, half animal,
Yeah.
coming out of the darkness of winter.
This isn't like your typical Halloween costume. Turner describes them as like these spirits, good and evil,
Wow.
that they believe wander around the mountains during the worst parts of winter.
And I can only imagine, encountering these figures,
Right.
maybe with just like a torch lighting your way.
Oh, yeah.
It would be terrifying, but also kind of amazing, right?
Totally. It would be awe-inspiring, I think.
Yeah. And they're connected to this figure, Frau Perchta,
Okay.
straight out of like those old German stories and folklore.
Ah.
She's associated with all sorts of things like protecting livestock
Mm-hmm.
and, get this, the passage of time.
Wow, that's a lot.
It really is.
It's really interesting how these Alpine cultures, they take those old beliefs
Yeah.
and mix them with more modern ones and make something totally new.
They're like,
This
right.
Perch and Lop, it's more than just a show. It's like a peek into this world where you can't tell what's real and what's superstition.
I love that, especially during those long winter nights.
For sure.
And speaking of like blurring the lines between things,
Yeah.
Turner also talks about the parts of Alpine life that are less fantastical,
Okay.
but still super interesting. Like, for example, Wilderschießen in Bavaria.
Wilder what?
I know, it's a mouthful, right?
Yeah.
But stick with me here.
Okay.
It's basically a whole reenactment of these fights between poachers
Okay.
and the people trying to catch them.
I wouldn't think poaching would be something to celebrate, you know?
Right, but as Turner says, for a lot of people in the Alps back then,
Yeah.
it was about survival,
Right.
pushing back against laws that only helped the rich,
Mm-hmm.
laws that made it nearly impossible for regular folks to just feed their families.
Right. So it's not just about breaking the rules. It's about
Right.
understanding, like, the desperation, how
Yeah.
clever people had to be,
Yeah.
just how tough you had to be to make it in that environment.
It's true. And Wilderschießen lets these communities remember those hard times,
Yeah.
to honor those ancestors who wouldn't give up, no matter how hard it got.
It reminds us that history isn't always pretty,
No, it's not.
but we should never forget it.
So we've gone from poaching to cheese.
Okay, now you're talking.
Right.
Yeah.
Turner takes us on this really fun journey into the world of cheese festivals.
I'm in.
Because what's a deep dive into the Alps without some delicious cheese, am I right?
You can't have one without the other.
But these festivals, they're more than just about eating a ton of cheese.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, that's definitely a big part of it.
Of course.
But they're also about celebrating cheese making as, like, an art form,
Right.
a symbol of their heritage,
Yeah.
the connection these communities have with the land.
It's like each cheese has its own story, you know?
It really is.
A story about recipes that have been passed down forever,
Totally.
about the unique pastures in the Alps,
Right?
about all the passion and dedication that goes into every single wheel.
And we can't forget about the people making the cheese, right?
Exactly. That's what I was just thinking about.
These festivals, they give you the chance to actually meet those cheesemakers, to hear about their lives, to see firsthand how much skill and tradition goes into making this incredible food.
It's really a reminder that food can be such a powerful way to show your culture
It's true.
and to bring people together.
Speaking of culture, Turner wraps things up with something that's both, like, really familiar,
Okay.
but also have these hidden depths.
Yeah.
Alpine transhumans.
Trans what now?
I know, it's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But you know those pictures we've all seen?
Yeah.
Of cows all dressed up with flowers, walking down from the mountains.
Oh, yeah. Classic.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alpine transhuman.
Okay. Got it.
But Turner wants us to look past the pretty picture
Okay.
and listen to the stories of the people who actually spend months up there with those cows.
The herdsman.
Yes, those herdsmen.
Okay.
Their stories have been passed down for generations,
Yeah.
and they're full of all this knowledge,
Right.
about the land, the animals, what it really means to live in the Alps. It's pretty incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
These herdsmen spending months surrounded by, like, the biggest, most beautiful nature.
Right.
Their lives totally in sync with the seasons changing. Their stories must be amazing.
They really are. They're full of, like, observations about nature mixed with old folklore,
Right.
real practical knowledge, and then a little bit of superstition thrown in.
Of course, of course.
Those stories, they give you a look into this way of life that's not around much anymore. It reminds you that the Alps have all these stories from, like, hundreds of years ago, just waiting for someone to hear them.
It's like we went behind the scenes of a travel brochure, you know?
Boy.
We found this whole world of hidden traditions, these really strong communities, and these stories that connect us to the past in a way that, I don't know, not many things can.
That's what's so great about looking for these hidden gems.
It is.
They give you a way better, more real perspective than any travel book ever could. And going through all these traditions, from the fun ones to the really serious ones,
Yeah.
it makes me realize how important it is to keep them alive.
For sure, especially in a world that's always changing
Right.
and often, like, gets rid of these unique cultures as it changes.
Yeah.
What can we even do?
Mm.
I mean, we're not even from there.
Well, I think it starts with being curious,
Yeah.
being willing to get off the beaten path,
Okay.
and really experience cultures that are different from ours.
Yeah.
We can support local artists,
Right.
be respectful of traditions,
Of course.
and just listen to the stories that people are telling.
That's a good point.
It's about honoring these cultural treasures and helping make sure they don't disappear.
It sounds like Turner's article is really a call to action then.
Yeah.
It's like, don't just visit the Alps as a tourist.
Right.
Experience them as someone who sees how strong human connection and tradition can be.
Exactly. So next time you're thinking about the Alps, don't just picture the mountains.
Okay.
Imagine those old festivals. Hear the bonfires crackling, the cowbells ringing, those stories being whispered from generation to generation.
I love that.
Let all those little details take you to a world you think you know but is full of surprises.
It reminds us that the best trips, the ones you really remember,
Yes.
they aren't always about where you go.
Right.
It's about those little moments you find along the way.
Yeah.
The connections you make, understanding things in a deeper way by opening yourself up to all the richness of being human.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it.
Well, on that note, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.